Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
I went online to become a private detective. It was a private detective school online, and I paid online. I never heard from them again. I thought to myself, I either got ripped off, or this is my first case. This is a journalistic podcast, Shannon. We vaccinate our listeners with answers. And I'm going to keep lip-syncing the important questions until TikTok gives me a show. Shannon, how can the moon landing be real if the moon itself is fake?
That's not true, Mike.
Oh, isn't it true, Shannon? You're fake. You're a hologram.
1 in 5 New Yorkers are food insecure. What's your solution for that, Mike?
Fortune cookie. Because that's food and advice at the same time. Shannon, at least have the decency to backstab me, okay? You stab me in the front every time. Some fans can't watch the podcast because they're triggered by our sexuality. And message to those fans, we will leak a sex tape right into your mouth.
This is Mike Vecchione Investigates.
And you're not better than me.
That maybe I'll succeed. Unlock your heart. The sun's in the sky. Unlock your heart. There's no time to cry.
Shannon, lower it down. Guys, who is that? You guessed it. It's presidential assassin and content creator John Hinckley Jr., who I like to start. I mean, it's being a little bit of a trend now. I like to start each episode with a song from John Hinckley Jr. Because did he try to kill the president in 1981? Yeah, he did. But now he is making great music. Dare I say he's the Michael Bublé of presidential assassins because he's killing it. Excuse my expression as far as music goes. He tried to kill Reagan and he hit him, but he didn't kill Reagan. I mean, could anybody actually kill Reagan? I mean, Reagan was a great actor and he was a multi-talented threat. And Hinckley probably felt like Reagan was gonna get Jodie Foster, and then Hinckley wouldn't have a chance, so he had to eliminate Reagan, and then that would be a clear path, it would seem, to Jodie Foster, except for the Secret Service and the various law enforcement organizations that converge on you when you try to shoot a president. He probably didn't factor that in, but that happened. But the point is, and I think we dedicated an entire episode to it last week, Shannon, whereas you make a mistake and then you are a different person after 40 years in a mental institution, and you come out and you start writing hits, it needs to be respected. And it's a comeback story. It's a comeback story where I did the wrong thing. I was in the wrong mindset because I was in a love triangle. And I'm out of that triangle now because I took a ray, which is another geometric shape or a geometric term. I took a ray, which is half of a diameter, if my geometry serves me correctly, to a mental institution for 40 years. And then, you know, turn on YouTube, who's making a little bit of a comeback is John Hinckley Jr., nailing it with songs like that he just brought us in with. So it's possible to become a different person is my point. And Hinckley Jr. Is living proof of that. And a lot of you at home are going, Mike, Hinckley Jr. again. It's an inspirational story. If you're not here to be inspired, I don't know what to tell you. Get back under the covers. Get back under the covers. Get back on your phone. Text your friend. I don't know. You want to go bowling? Hinckley Jr. is an inspiration to me. just the comeback story of it. And where's Jodie Foster on this? No comment. And it's like, Foster, how about a comment? How about a comment? And I wonder if any of these songs are secretly about Jodie Foster. He's not saying her name, but he's talking about love. He's talking about emotion. And he's probably trying to get back in her good graces. And he could be doing it with some songs, and then maybe some love songs. Then the songs become a little bit more pointed. Meet me at the diner. Meet me at the diner. How about a date? How about a date? And she's not commenting, so we don't know where she is emotionally. But if this guy gets out of a mental institution after shooting Reagan after 40 years, starts writing songs, and then manages to get with Jodie Foster, I mean, maybe the greatest story in American history. It goes Man on the Moon, Boston Tea Party, and then this, because this is amazing.
He did publicly apologize to her, but just a tiny
But she
little
wasn't
bit.
shot.
He said he apologized to all the families of his shooting victims, Ronald Reagan, Press Secretary James Brady.
You
blah, blah, blah.
apologize to the people you shot.
And to Jodie Foster for bringing her into this.
Well, how about the fact that she's the inspiration for the shooting?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's something to be said there. Is she a little bit at fault for it? For being a great actress in the movie Taxi Driver? Maybe. Maybe she's a little, what's the legal term?
Culpable?
Culpable, Shannon. That's a great one. She's a little bit culpable for it, for being such an inspiration, a murderous inspiration. And a lot of women are shooting for that these days. Shooting for it. That was on purpose. Anyway, Hinckley Jr. has been a main focus of the show. He's got my attention. And when somebody's out there and my ear is to the streets, and it's not a story that everybody's covering, everybody's locked into political gridlock, whatever, but every once in a while, I'll lock onto a story and I will follow it to the ends of the earth. I think Hinckley Jr. comes back. I think he wins a Grammy. And I think he gets Jodie Foster, and they have 3 kids. 3. And they live happily ever after. And that's what I think is going to happen. And I think this guy's on his way to doing it. Best comeback story in the history of the United States of America is what I think is coming down the pike. Baby formula shortage, week 26. We have not given up on it. Some of you have. Some of you are like, screw the babies. Let them cry. What was the story with Moses? They were like, oh, this baby is inconvenient for us. Let's put him in a crib and send him down the river. That's what you guys have done with this issue. Not me. I keep following it. There's still a baby shortage, a baby formula shortage. The babies are here and they're hungry. And they're like, and they're a couple years short of qualifying for the kids menu, which kids eat for free, which I think that's crazy. Make the kid do all of the, fill out the menu, solve this puzzle, solve this, solve that, then you can eat. Turn in your menu, I'll grade it. If it's 100%, then you get a meal for free because you've earned it. But it's not just kids eat for free. Is that teaching the right message to the kids? Oh yeah, everything's for free. Everything's for your taking. It's like, no. Pass the test that's on the menu and then you can eat. Work first and then reward. That's how we do it. But the baby formula shortage is, there was a baby. I was doing a private gig, and there was a baby in the front row, and I had to address the baby. And I said, there's a baby formula shortage. And the baby immediately started crying, and the baby had to be taken out of... I walked the baby before the baby was able to walk. His mother took him out of the room, him or her, or maybe the baby doesn't have a gender yet. I don't know. But the baby left because it was such a hot topic, and there's still a shortage. And I don't know what's going on in this country where we can't figure out the formula, because it is a formula for baby. That's why they call it formula. They don't even sugarcoat it, which it might have sugar in it, which is not good for the baby. Don't sugarcoat it. You shouldn't. It's bad for the baby. It's bad for the teeth that haven't come in yet. What's next? There's no baby formula. What's next? No tooth fairy? The tooth fairy is stuck in Germany? Can't get over here? Nobody gets $5? Back when I was growing up, it was nickels and dimes. But no one gets money for their teeth anymore? Because why? Because the tooth fairy is stuck in Europe. Transcontinental supply train stuff that's weighing down. The tooth fairy can't make it over here. It's like, let's ruin every child's dreams now because of the baby formula. We starts with the baby formula, then the tooth fairy, then Santa Claus. First girlfriend. Next thing you know, you're going to prom by yourself. And you go to a Texas pawn shop and you buy a revolver and you think you're going to make a statement by shooting the president to get Jodie Foster's attention, but that blows up in your face. You have to go to a mental institution for 40 years. But you come out and then you start writing songs. And that's how you recover. Shannon, what in the hell is going on with this baby formula shortage? Our babies are crying. They're crying.
There's quite a bit, actually. So the U.S., first they're saying the baby formula crisis is worsening as out-of-stock levels hit 30% in the United States. And then it says the rising out-of-stock rates come as it was revealed that Abbott Laboratories, the largest formula provider in the U.S., was hit with another lawsuit this week by a parent alleging their products contributed to a baby death. Also, a new report was also revealed the FDA started probing the factory after a stun gun was deployed at the facility and a fed-up employee complained about plant safety.
A fed-up employee? Mm-hmm. Fed up? Babies can't eat? The employee is fed up? Do you understand the irony of that, Shannon and Natalie? The employee is fed up. Babies can't eat. And it's like the FDA is investigating. Somebody has a stun gun. They should have a stun gun. How about putting a stun gun to these workers so that they can start creating baby formula and the Abbott lab? And we already make the joke about Abbott and Costello, and the whole thing is kind of a comedy routine, the fact that we can't get baby formula here. And the FDA is doing next to nothing. It's supposed to be enforcing the fact that we need baby formula. Enforcing it. I don't know how in this country that babies can go hungry and we're just chalk it up to the supply chain. And what are the babies eating instead of baby formula, Shannon? I mean, I think that's the real question. It's like, oh, don't put that Lego in your mouth. Don't put that Lego in your mouth. And then now that we have no baby formula, it's like, try it. Try the Lego, I would say. Because, I mean, you're not going to get formula anytime soon. So why don't you try to get some nutrients from the Lego? Normally, I would tell you not to put it in your mouth. Germs, it's dirty, etc. But now, it's like maybe these babies know something we don't.
It appears that this one particular woman has preemie twins.
Yeah.
And said that she was forced to switch her
Preemie is a cute way of, what is that, premature?
Yes. It says she was forced to switch her twins to a less nutrient sufficient product. So apparently this one from the Abbott factory has higher nutrition levels. So like the more needy babies are the ones that are being deprived of the formula.
And what about the fatter babies like I was?
I mean, they're being put on a diet.
I had fat cheeks as a baby. But you don't fat shame a baby. You know, my uncles and my relatives, they would just squeeze my face. They would squeeze my cheeks. And that's a form of fat shaming now. If they would squeeze. They would grab my cheek and they would squeeze it. And I guess baby formula for Italians is a kind of a sauce. I'm guessing that's what it was that I had. A marinara, maybe with some light fresh Parmesan. What about vitamin water? Could they step up and do something, Shannon? Like a vitamin water for a baby? Or some kind of a nutrient-rich Gatorade?
You'd think like maybe a protein shake company would make some kind of
Slim Fast?
Yeah.
But these companies are doing nothing, and they're sitting on their heels. And our babies are just, I mean, I've been on airplanes and they're crying up a storm. And before I would be like, that baby's spoiled. Now I'm like, there's a reason that baby is freaking out. And he's freaking out because our supply chain, and supply chain is a word that you just use like, it's like shouting at the clouds. It's like, we just say supply chain. It's like, who is it for? I want to yell at a guy or a woman or a gender non-specific person for holding up the baby formula and for hoarding it. I think people are hoarding the formula. What are parents doing now? Makeshift formulas?
I have read that there are some
Codeine?
people. I did read that some people were doing that, trying to make their own, and that they were advising against that. But what else are you supposed to do?
Who's they? The FDA?
Probably.
Oh my God. The CDC advising against making bathtub baby formula, which is the moonshine? I say we have no choice. I say our babies need to eat, and they're going to grow up angry because of Abbott, the Abbott company, which is one of the 3 companies that actually makes it. So we're following that story. The other story, Shannon, that's been in the news that I personally experienced over the weekend, inflation. And I always get that confused with inflammation. And it's hilarious how confusing those two things could be. But I think inflation is inflammation of the economy. I think that's a good point that I'm making. And so I at this country club, and I order a Caesar salad, and the Caesar salad is small, no croutons, because gluten is an enemy of this podcast. And it's a Caesar salad, and it's this big, and it's $13. And I remember thinking to myself, it's got to be 35 cents to make. So $13 on 35 cents, what's the markup? And I looked it up, and internet, thanks to the internet has a calculator. And it's a 4,000% markup. 4,000%. It's beyond the point of, you might as well just be robbing me at gunpoint, basically, if you're going to mark up a Caesar salad at 4,000%. $13 for just lettuce and some shaved cheese. And what's in their Caesar dressing, but I don't know what's in there. What's in Caesar dressing? It's probably baby formula. There's baby formula in the Caesar dressing. Maybe that's why it's so expensive. But, it was a resort where I was staying, Shannon, and I find that, if you can't get to any other place to eat, because if you don't have a car, you're locked onto the resort and you have a choice of 2 restaurants, basically, and one of them isn't open during the day. So you have one restaurant where you fast. That's where fasting should have come in. But it's always a situation where you're locked into, there's no competition, and they lock you into a place where there's no competition, like at the airport. I go to the airport and I'm at the gate, and I go to get a wrap or whatever, and it's like half a wrap, $13. And it's just one of those things where it's like, the gate is right here. I can't walk. I don't have time. They know you're in this. They're doing like a mathematical equation of, you're in this situation. We know you're hungry, and you're going to pay $13 for this. And sometimes I do it, and sometimes I go, no, I'm not giving you my money. But it takes a tremendous amount of will to not give them your money and just to go, because it gets to a point where it's like, okay, this is just, I have the money. It's not the point. It's the point that you're gouging me so hard. And there's no one to yell at. You can't yell at the workers. They're making little to no money. So it's not their fault. So, but I want to know, with all the internet outrage, why aren't these people getting torched online?
Maybe because it's comparable to other places. I mean, I haven't seen a cheap Caesar salad on a menu in a really long time.
The name of this bakery in the LaGuardia, I don't know what, it's called Bisou, Bisoux, and they had a restaurant across, and there was a market across from it, and it was like, they had both those 2 restaurants right there, Bisou Bakery, and I'm like, I looked up the ratings, and I was like, how is this? I mean, the ratings were bad on it, but it's like almost like no one paid attention to it. It's like, this is what should be out there. There should be outrage about this, because I think people are angry, but they're angry at the wrong things. What they should be is angry at stuff like this, where people go, yeah, I'm just going to see how much money I can get out of you. I'm going to lock you into a situation where you can't go anywhere because you need to catch a flight, and I'm going to stack the odds, and I'm going to just extort you. And I'm wondering why there isn't more of an outrage on it.
It says they also automatically add 18.5% tip, even if you're just ordering from a machine.
Yeah, and where does that tip go? It goes to them. That's a tip on top of what how they're already shaking you down. It's mob tactics. Inflation is everywhere.
It also says that they paid $9 for cold ass stale fries.
Yeah.
And $17.75 for an old fashioned.
An old fashioned is a drink. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. All I know is like the wraps and I got a wrap and a coffee and a water from some other place, and they were like, "That's $37." I'm like, that's almost. They did it like this $37. I go, come on, dude. This is $37? This is $37. They go, yeah, that's what it is. And it's like, you can't help but just, it's not the counter person's fault. It's the overall, but the overall business model is like, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see who is in charge of setting these prices and going, and what they have to say. I mean, I'm not even interested in what they have to say. It's just the fact that they're it's just borderline criminal. And the other side of it is like, well, you don't have to buy it. It's like, normally I would say, yeah, if there was like, they should put a McDonald's right next door to it. Like put a McDonald's right next, and just, you would run them out of business immediately. But they have it set up where it's like nothing is around them. And there's corridors at certain airports, like at LaGuardia, where it's like, they don't let the McDonald's and like these other places in there. They have a monopoly over them so that they all raise their prices so that they can make money. I just don't like that. I like fair competition. It's like if it's fair and you can bring in another and if people still want to buy it, then that's fine if there's competition. But when you block out the competition and then you corner the consumer where they have to get on the flight and they can't, there's no time to go anywhere else. It's criminal, I would say. It's set up for the consumer to fail. That's what I would say, Shannon.
I agree.
Well, I'm outraged over inflation. And it's happening. It's going up. You know, Katie told me she went to a place in the supermarket, and I won't mention its name, but $10 for Morton Williams. I will mention its name. It's $10 for cereal.
Oh my God.
Yeah, $10 for cereal.
Is it fancy cereal?
No. It's like your normal name brand cereal. That's insanity. $10 for cereal? I mean, what are we doing? I mean, we're not going to go backwards. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what's the future? The Jetsons, hopefully, where they just make everything and put it on a conveyor belt and you can just order your breakfast through a machine.
That is something that, because we did talk about this on last week's episode, but there was, that's one of the things they said that they got wrong, even though we're almost there, is with the food printers, is that they do exist, but only in like lab settings and stuff, right. Not like for the home. So
3D printers. 3D can print your food. But then it's got to be all kinds of preservatives in the food.
Yeah.
And not to mention the ink. the ink that's in your food. Oh, this donut didn't print right. Did anybody want it? There's no hole in it. Does anybody want this defunct donut that we didn't print? Or there's going to be all kinds. There's a cheeseburger that's stuck in the tray.
It's jammed.
It's jammed. It's jammed into the printer. We live in a wacky times. Let's go to this article. Professional shoplifter Michelle McKelly finally behind bars after fighting the cops.
So she had previously been arrested 100 times for
100 times?
Yeah, 100 times.
And you know what? Just piggybacking off what we were just talking about, inflation is so bad, I'm actually rooting for the shoplifters now. All right, guys, I want to take a second to talk about our friends over at rockauto.com. Ever have a friend that has a guy? Nobody can find something, but your friend has a guy? Well, I've got your guy for auto parts, and it's rockauto.com. Rockauto.com has been in business for 20 years, and while every other business in this country might be raising prices or low on stock, when it comes to auto parts, you've got a guy, and that guy is rockauto.com. Just the dependability of the name, rockauto.com, you know that says solid. It says dependable, and they do have the widest variety at the lowest possible prices. And I love that about rockauto.com, aside from saying the name rockauto.com. I'm telling you, rockauto.com has the best auto parts you need in stock at reliably low prices. If you've got a used car, it's probably appreciating in value. The car market is hot, which is why now's the time to keep your car well maintained. It feels good knowing you're driving a reliable car, and rockauto.com makes it easy with every part you need at low prices. Guys, you need a car, you need a job, you need to move out of your mother's basement, you need a reliable car, and you need parts for that car, and you get those parts at rockauto.com. I know you can't afford much, and you need reliability, so rockauto.com is perfect for our listeners. So go check out rockauto.com if you're looking for auto parts. Rock Auto is your guy. And let them know we sent you. At checkout, yell at them. And I know about this from Mike Vecchione Investigates. I'm just kidding. There's a box to put our show name in. You need auto parts at low prices, and we need credit here on the show. So tell them that Mike Vecchione Investigates has sent you. Once more, that's rockauto.com with all the auto parts you need at amazing prices. rockauto.com. All right, guys, let's get back into it. But people could say, oh, the shoplifters are what's causing the inflation. I don't think so. I think that we just need to get our criminal justice reform in place and not let people out of prison. And if they do it 100 times, you need to arrest them. So that's really what the issue is. And but it's like when you're charging that much money for stuff and you're cornering people and you're cornering the market, I almost root for the shoplifter. I go, yeah, take it.
So she's 41 years old.
Yeah.
And it does appear that she was kind of stealing odds and ends. This particular day, she swiped paper towels from the Duane Reade at West 125th Street and Lenox Avenue on Friday night. And then when the officers tried to...
Friday night paper towel swipe?
Yes.
Just a Friday night. It's most people, that's date night. And she's out, like, stealing paper towels. Clean up the mess.
I do need to pick up paper towels.
You do need to pick up paper towels.
I'm going to pay for them, though.
Yeah. Or so you say, Shannon.
That's right.
No one's going to brag about it.
Who knows?
But this woman comes out as a professional shoplifter.
Yes.
And I like that. I like that she labels herself. Look, I'm a professional shoplifter. Everybody relax.
Yeah, she's self-described professional booster.
Yes.
She says.
And that sounds almost medical, doesn't it?
It does.
Yes.
So this time when they were arresting her, she fought back. She was kicking, biting, scratching, and spitting at them.
Oh, my God.
Both of the cops, one of them, she bit her shoulder, causing pain, court documents show. So they both went to the hospital to be treated.
Right.
The judge requested a $25,000 bond, so bail was set at $5,000.
They should set the bail in paper towels. We're going to set it at 2,400 rolls of paper towels.
At her arraignment, prosecutors said McKelly has failed to appear in court 27 times on multiple past arrests.
She's elusive.
Yes.
She just failed to show up at court?
Yes. And she also boasted...
Aren't you convicted in absentia? Is that my imagination? Or when you don't show up to court, do they just go, I guess she is not coming. Okay, well, let's try to reschedule her.
I mean, don't they put a warrant out for your arrest for just stupid little traffic things?
Yeah, I mean, I thought so. There's more consequence for not showing up to a podcast here at Gas Digital. You could get banned. You could get banned from the studio for a year. You know, there's more consequences there. But I didn't know you could just opt out. But I learned that living uptown. Like I lived. There's this street called Dykeman uptown, which is funny. It's funny, but it's a real busy road, and people would all kinds of parking infractions, whatever. And the word was that the cops would just stop ticketing and stop because people just wouldn't pay them. So the cops just go, all right, well, we just kind of give up because we're not going to follow up on all this stuff. So it's like we're just kind of giving up. So I guess that's what happened here, where it's like she just doesn't show up. She's been arrested 100 times, didn't show up for 27 of them. So I guess the cops just go, I don't know.
It's kind of like when you yell at your kid for doing something and say, if you're going to do that again, you're going to get grounded, and you don't ground them.
Right.
And they're just going to keep doing the thing over and over again.
They just keep doing it.
She also boasted to the cops about her hustle after they said she had been caught stealing. She said, she told them, I haven't been caught in a long time, though. I'm a professional booster. Y'all are stopping my hustle. Yeah. And then when asked if she would steal again, she said, I have to get a new outfit, so I have to go to work.
That's such, I mean, I could tell that that's a woman. Because it's like, I have to get a new outfit. No one's going to stop me. And I will bite people. The fact that she bit a cop. She bit a cop.
Do you want to see what she looks like?
No, I know what she looks like. I know what she looks like. And just the fact that you said you're not going to stop the hustle, and the fact that you're going to bite a cop, and that you need a new dress. I mean.
She is currently at Rikers.
Right.
As of Sunday morning.
Okay, for now.
Yeah.
But it's like these petty things, like how much time do you think she's actually going to get?
Oh, also, she has 11 sealed busts. That's not included in the 100.
What's sealed?
I guess that's maybe when she was a minor.
Oh. Okay, well, she's been doing it a long time. And you would think you would get better at it. But it's like, that's just a thing that failure shouldn't be deterring you. You fail a lot and you just keep getting better at it. And she proved it by saying, I haven't been arrested in a long time. So I guess you just keep getting better at it.
Yeah.
Now we have to lock everything up behind the glass, and you have to push the button in order to get a representative here in New York. If you want deodorant. It started off with like cough suppressants and stuff because there was meth in there, I guess. And I guess you could take so much of it, you would get high. So it's like, okay, keep the drugs locked down, and then you have to press a button to get a customer service representative. But now it's everything. Deodorant, anything. Because razors because of Michelle McKelly. Yep. Michelle McKelly is a supervillain. And she commits small crimes, but she commits a lot of them.
I was going to be on your side because you're kind of on her side and saying that she is maybe getting better at it. And I was going to say maybe there's been longer and longer time in between her arrests. Yeah. But the last time she was arrested before this was June 25th for pocketing $125 worth of goods from CVS in Lower Manhattan. So that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. She's pocketing.
And it's $125 worth of stuff from CVS. That's a lot of stuff.
That is a lot of stuff. I mean, she must have big pockets. But she bills herself as a professional shoplifter. I think the only thing she's missing is a cape. And because she's a villain. She's a villain, but it's almost... She's a low-budget villain who's stealing everyday products that most of us have to pay for. But she goes, you know what? I'm not paying for it. And I would like to get her in a Bissau bakery. I would love to get her in a Bissau bakery. Okay, so good luck, Michelle. Michelle McKelly. California Democrats want mental health warnings on pot. And Shannon, this is a big issue because weren't the Democrats saying that pot should be everybody? It's one of the food groups. I thought that's what they were saying. It's in the food pyramid.
Hold on, wait.
Didn't the Democrats say that it's replacing carbohydrates in the food pyramid? I thought that's what they said. But now they want warnings. Looks like somebody's walking it back. Yes. What's the warnings? So
as New York gets closer to retail legal pot sales, they want to make sure that people are aware that cannabis use may contribute to mental health problems. They may contribute to psychotic disorders such as schizophrenia, and risk is greater for frequent users. So I guess as it becomes more often used, they want people to be aware of it. It also says people who use marijuana are more likely to develop temporary psychosis, not knowing what is real, hallucinations of paranoia, long-term mental disorders. The association between marijuana and schizophrenia is stronger in people who start using marijuana at an earlier age.
Right, and it's also stronger in people who miss work. and who sleep in, and who also eat a family-sized bag of potato chips. You know, it's all like warning signs, I think. It's just now they want to go the mental health road. Is anybody listening to these warnings? Does anybody actually listen to them?
I don't think so. It says a state hospital data shows that 3 years after legalization in California, emergency room visits for cannabis-induced psychosis went up 54%.
Wow. Cannabis-induced psychosis. So that's mental health-related problems because of pot. Because what's happening is you're smoking pot or you're doing edibles. First of all, the edible is scary because you can't control how much pot is in it. It hits you all at one time. You start to lose your mind. I almost called the ambulance on myself. And I'm pretty stable. But I almost called the ambulance on myself, and if it wasn't for one Dan Soder, I would have been hospitalized right next to John Hinckley Jr. in a mental institution in a straitjacket because I wasn't prepared for the dosage that was in the edible. Edibles are scary that way, and so it puts you on your heels, and then you're doing that, and then you're watching TikTok, and that's stimulating you more because it's so fast. And it's moving, it plays tricks on your mind. And you start to unravel because you don't know what's reality and what's not. Because you're living in this world that your brain is altered now. And then you're watching something that's stimulating it. You start to lose your mind. I understand it. I agree with the Democrats on this one. There should be warnings. And it's whose job is it though, Shannon? Is it like the Surgeon General? Is it the Surgeon General basically before COVID was like, just don't smoke. He had the easiest job in the world. It's like, don't smoke, everybody. All right, see you next year. Don't smoke. Everybody, smoking's bad. And then he just goes off and you don't see him again. But now it's like COVID and monkeypox and all this other stuff. And is that the Surgeon General's job?
This smoke break is brought to you by YoDelta.com, the official Getting High sponsor of the Gas Digital Network.
Yes.
Is it? What about Fauci was not the Surgeon General. He was CDC guy. So it's like the CDC. He's like, there's a lot of organizations here. But who's telling us not to do pot? First of all, the word was that pot is harmless. Then now people are finding out it's not harmless. It's a gateway drug. What's a gateway drug? It leads to other harder drugs. But they're saying this is not the issue. The issue is not it's a gateway drug. The issue is it's a problem if you use it too much.
Or it becomes more of a problem, like it compounds upon itself. Like the more you use it, the more of a chance you can go crazy.
Yeah, you can go crazy. For those of you at home. Or you could do what I do, which is do a breathing practice in the morning and see how long you can hold your breath every day. Don't hold your breath. That's an expression, but that's what I actually do. Try to hold my breath. Try to hold my breath, and I get a natural high from the lack of oxygen. Then when I do breathe oxygen, I'm like, this is the best. I'm living in a paradise. That's what you do. You deprive yourself of stuff. And then once you flood yourself with it, it feels like you're on drugs. That's the other side of it. Depriving. Professor settles for $95,000 with university after profane rant video. It's a rant.
Yeah.
And what was this guy? Was wearing a spacesuit?
Yeah, here's a picture. Then if you want, we could watch some of the videos. Pretty long,
he's
though.
locked down in a spacesuit. But what was his views, Shannon, that were controversial?
Well, he was mad that they didn't put like a vaccine mandate in the university.
Yeah. He wanted people vaccinated.
Yes. He called the students in the video vectors of disease.
Ooh, what's a vector, Shannon? Because vector is a great word. And it's almost like my last name. Maybe that's what I'll call my fans. The vectors of disease. That's so badass. The vectors of disease. Colloquial to some quantities that cannot be expressed by a single number, or to elements of some vector spaces. You can't use the definition in the... You can't use the word in the definition.
A quantity having direction as well as magnitude, especially as determining the position of one point in space relative to another.
What's that
I
mean?
know it's very confusing.
A vector.
The second one, an organism, typically a biting insect or tick that transmits a disease or parasite from one animal or plant to another. I've never heard it used in that way before.
A vector, a disease-ridden organism.
Yeah.
Well, he called his kids disease-ridden organisms?
Yeah.
That's a bit much.
I think he was just, I think, terrified of getting it because he said, you guys are all wearing just masks, but maybe you don't realize that our air is like poisoned right now.
Is it?
With this virus.
Well, I guess he's going crazy because of monkeypox now. He's probably monkeypoxed out.
So he was...
He made a profane statement?
Yes. It says the video was profanity laced.
Mm-hmm.
And he posted it to his YouTube page.
Of course.
And after the university became aware of it, they suspended him, and then he sued them for suspending him.
Right.
And he was awarded $95,000 and then agreed to retire.
Right.
But the stipulation is for 3 years, he can't talk crap about the school. If he does, he has to pay the school $60,000.
Do they think that it'll die down after 3 years?
Maybe he'll just be done because he's pretty old.
He's pretty old. They're waiting on him to die?
Maybe.
Wow.
He's
And
75.
Ferris State is one of our best. Let's look up Ferris State. Ferris State is... first of all, I don't know where it is. I thought Jersey. Ferris.
It's in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Of course. Ferris State. And what's their mascot? Let's get him involved. Or her.
It is a bulldog. Brutus the bulldog.
Brutus the bulldog. I thought it was going to be some kind of an offensive thing. But a bulldog, I mean, that's great. Ferris State. And they probably don't have a good football team because I've never heard of them. Ferris State. They might know. I actually did hear of them. I think they do have. They're like Division III in football.
I'll tell you in a second. They have Division II.
They're Division II. That's higher than I thought.
Ferris State Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs. Well, you're no longer a bulldog, friend, because you called all the kids at your university vectors. Little disease-ridden vectors.
Do you want to watch a little of the video? It's very long. I don't know if you just want to get a feel for it.
I just want to get a feel for it, Shannon. I just like to get a feel for the... First of all, the guy's in a... he looks like an astronaut.
He can be an astronaut.
And women can be too, Shannon. Women can be astronauts.
And by the way, I would like to say to the audience that I did make a mistake earlier this week, and Mike did tell me that I'm losing my ability to become an astronaut.
Yes, thank you, Shannon, for not plagiarizing what I wrote. I said you're getting farther and farther away from space because you're not going to be an astronaut with these kinds of mistakes,
Get it.
Shannon, and you made a bad one.
I did. Oh, he's not talking yet.
There we go. So let me take this off.
Oh. What does he teach, by the way, Shannon?
Turn that off.
I'll look it up right after this.
This off.
File cabinets. everything.
Damn. Man. I just got in from Rigel 7. The intergalactic internet is all a buzz about this planet. I don't know whether you people have noticed, but it's dangerous to breathe the air. Many of your experts are advising wearing masks because there's a deadly virus spreading around the planet. Your civilization is collapsing and life on your planet is going extinct. Maybe you just didn't notice.
Oh, maybe. Can you stop it for a second, Shannon? But I like this guy is talking about like it's your planet. He's not a part of it. Like he's on a space station somewhere. It's like your planet is dying. Your planet. It's like, hey, buddy, we're all in this together. I thought we were all in this together. And he's got a level of, I wanted to see him talk, but he's got a level of like theatrics and narcissism, which is like, oh, this is not really about the topic. It's about you spiraling out of control because I don't know if you have a family or what. Like if you don't, I'm not like downing people who are alone, but it's like you can spiral into crazy town pretty fast because you have no one stopping you.
I looked it up. He was a professor.
And that's not a shot at you, Shannon.
I feel like it.
No,
was a reason
it's
I
not.
don't I haven't spiraled yet.
No, you haven't. You're very grounded.
Thank you. I'm not 75 though. I feel like if I make it to his age, maybe then.
Do you think you will lose it?
I don't know. I hope not.
Well, you have enough. You have enough like people here to keep you.
Do you think I'll still be working here when I'm 75?
Well, Gas Digital could be an international a network by that time with charging stations for people's different vehicles, and it downloads the podcast as you get electric into your battery.
These are great ideas. I did find out he was a professor of humanities at Ferris State who founded the Institute for the Study of Academic Racism.
Academic racism?
Mm-hmm. ISAR.
How's that different from regular racism? Academic racism is racism within the educational system, I would say, which is already pretty liberal.
Let's see if
Academic racism?
Yeah, I'm not finding a specific thing about his thing.
Well, let's listen to what else he has to say.
Okay.
Through the roof. At any rate, welcome to the new season of my show, More Bad News, brought to you by Camel Cigarettes. Yes, that's Camel Cigarettes. When I was your age, more doctors smoked Camels than any other cigarette. Let me just show you that. I'm going to share my screen and we'll take a look at that right off. Here we go. Here, share the screen, and here we are with more.
You know, if you were to follow a busy doctor as he makes his calls,
This guy is
you would find yourself.
okay. This guy's just trying to have a show.
Yeah.
Basically, I get the theatrics of what he's doing. I thought it was like I thought like some people are like crazy and they've like lost it and they spiral out because they're trying to make a point and they've just like but that's not what this guy's doing. This guy's like doing show busy kind of like
when he shared a screen that he didn't mean to share for a second, and it was his notes. And it's everything he's doing here is 100% scripted, because the first line was, "First, let me take my helmet off."
Oh yeah. The whole thing. He could have taken that off camera.
Right.
Yeah, but he chose to do it like he's doing it like a show.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Be that as it may, like he should have just been to when he got sanctioned by the university. He should have been like, oh, it's all entertainment. That could have saved him. But he leaned into it, I guess.
I feel like that shows that he has gone off the deep end, because
he's trying to be folksy and entertaining.
Yeah.
It's like, when someone's like lost their mind, then it's none of it's folksy or entertaining. It might be entertaining as a byproduct just to watch somebody unravel, but it's not. This guy's like purposely being entertaining. Mm-hmm. He's trying to be entertaining, like he has a talk show, and we're uncovering it here on this show, which is kudos to us for getting to the bottom of it.
Right.
This professor. All right. I looked up this thing called, I have a friend in Minnesota. I worked at a club every year, House Comedy, fantastic club. And one of the bartenders who works there, he no longer works there. But I've known him over the years, so he came out to see me the last time I was there. And I go, what are you doing now? And he goes, I work for an invisible fence company. So that's our next topic, Shannon. Invisible fences.
Okay.
And I think they're amazing because, there's a whole debate about invisible fences because people say they're cruel and other people say, what are you talking about? They're not even there. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that's the best defense for an invisible fence. Invisible fences. You attach a collar to a dog and then you put an invisible fence. You bury the wire underground. And then if the dog goes past the invisible fence, he gets shocked, or as he gets closer to it.
Oh, that's what we should have done with Justin here.
Yes.
We should have made an
We had a
invisible
shock.
fence.
You were so against it, but Justin for years had a shock collar, and everybody was fine with that.
Because he was consenting.
Yeah, but he also needed it desperately
true.
because he would lose his mind, and we had to shock him back into place. And his whole dog thing, it all fit in. But we might have gone too far because we shocked Justin off the podcast. And then he went into his dog training thing. So maybe we shocked him too much. Shannon, I'm looking at you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's why, like, whenever he comes back in, he's like, "Oh, I missed you guys," but it's because we're not shocking him anymore.
Yes. But he's obedient on the
He is
podcast
much
now.
better. Yes.
He's gotten a lot better. He's gotten obedient.
I feel this is I feel like
Okay,
this is
feelings
inhumane.
can't get involved here, Shannon. This is an
Oh.
investigatory podcast,
I-
and we have to investigate it with a clear head.
I believe this to be
Yeah.
inhumane.
You believe it to be what?
Inhumane.
Okay, how so?
Because, like, how is the dog going to understand?
Yeah, it's a very basic level of understanding. It's the most base level of understanding. If I walk too far, then I'm going to get stabbed in the throat.
My mom's boyfriend's dog has that, or he had one for his dog for a really long time, and he only needed to actually use it for like a year or two, and now he just lets the dog outside without the collar, and he knows not to leave. But it also kind of went too far because now you can't just walk him out the front door because he'll just be like, I can't walk there. So if you want to take him for a walk, you have to put him in the car.
But
and
Natalie,
drive
are you
away.
making a larger point that we're all sometimes in an invisible prison because of our all of our mental constraints?
It's all in our head.
It's all in our head. I'd like a dog to have the balls just to walk through. Like eventually,
Most dogs don't have their balls anymore, though.
they get what's that called?
Fixed?
Yeah, but it's called something else.
Spayed? Neutered?
Neutered. Yeah, but it's like to have the wherewithal just to walk through that, because we have to do that in life a lot of times. You know, we're getting signals to get stopped, and we don't pay attention to them. You have to just go through the pain. You know,
And not
when
on
you're
your
on that
side.
treadmill and you have 5 more minutes, Shannon, and it's like your body is saying shut down, but you don't. You just keep going
I can't get on your side with this because like,
it's cruelty to animals.
yes, but also like what Natalie said is that they had to do it for a couple of years. So this dog is just getting shocked to death, and now it's just terrified to even step outside.
Is the dog
door.
terrified, or did the dog never run away?
I don't know.
He never ran away.
I said years. I
He or
didn't
she
know
never
him
ran.
when he got his dog.
Yeah.
I've only known him for a couple of years, so I don't know how long he actually used it. But my mom started dating him like a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And how's that relationship going? Does your mom
Fine.
suddenly wear a necklace that you don't recognize? She's got her own collar. Do you think this would work on people? I'm for it on people.
I did see it used in a movie that I watched recently.
Movie of the week?
Maybe. I can't
Yeah.
remember the name of it. But it was 2 little boys that were abducted from their home, and they were taken to this like big house in the middle of the woods. And I don't want to give a spoiler of like who ended up abducting them, but they put a collar around one of the little boys, and it wasn't going off or anything. And so when they were trying to escape, he would get zapped.
Right.
So it wasn't somebody that was like doing it remotely. It was this invisible fence thing, which I didn't know was a thing.
Wow. Wouldn't it be something if you put an invisible collar around and it zapped you and you just kept going and it kept zapping you? But it turns out that's the cure for COVID. It like activated cells in your body that made it stronger to fight COVID and monkeypox and all these other diseases. And then you just became superhuman. I would like to see a movie about that. I'm huge on overcoming adversity, Shannon. And I think that something that hurts you and you're able to like outlast it, and then it makes you stronger. Whatever doesn't kill you make you stronger. Whatever doesn't choke you, because it's a collar around your neck, makes you stronger, I think. And if John Hinckley Jr. had sense about him, he'd write a song about it.
That's a good point. Maybe he'll hear this eventually.
Hinckley Jr.
No, can we not go back to him again?
I'm not going to go back to him again.
I have
but-
one more thing.
What?
So it says another issue with these fences is that dog owners that purchase this type of system rarely provide their dog with special training necessary for them to like get all the benefits of the invisible fence system. This means that a dog is not just shocked once or twice, but is continually shocked, which cause all sorts of physical and neurological problems.
Not just shocked once or twice?
Yeah, because they're not being trained along with it.
But doesn't the shock train you? It
So-
trains you.
I guess if you were using it in conjunction with actual training, they would only need to be shocked once or twice or a couple of times.
But you learn from being shocked.
But it takes
I hate to
longer.
take issue with you on this, Shannon, but isn't that how you learn from being shocked?
But Natalie said that dog, it took a couple of years.
That dog was probably stubborn. Are you sure that was a dog and not a mule? Dog was probably really stubborn and pig-headed.
I don't actually know how long he shocked him for.
See, Natalie's information that you're referencing, Shannon, is shady and unreliable.
It might have
and
been.
she doesn't, under grand jury, Natalie would be like, I don't even have a friend. I was contributing. And I don't even know
wanted to have a
if my friend
story.
has a dog. It's like Natalie crumbles under the most minimal of questioning. And Shannon, you're constantly referencing her. And it's supposed to be like a female against the one male, Three's Company type defense. And it's like it doesn't hold any water.
We would be if my story had more weight to it.
Natalie, you're single-handedly sinking the female portion of this podcast. You're sinking, you guys.
Which is a big portion.
It's a big portion. And you guys have the numbers. And you have the intellect on your side, too. I'm just some mook over here but is taking apart your argument because you're not stable on anything. And you guys are willing to lie for each other. And you're willing to be duplicitous and whatever gets you into space, I guess.
If Natalie was willing to lie, though, we would have held our argument together. If she wasn't. She was
Yeah,
honest.
my friend, she's like, I don't even know. I don't even know if I have a dog. Or I don't even know about anything or how long it was or anything.
That's why I would be good on a jury, because I'm honest.
No, you would be terrible on a jury. You'd be terrible because you can't spot a liar and you would waver on everything, Natalie. I just think these invisible fence companies are fun. I think it's funny to have an invisible fence company, and that's your company. An invisible fence. And just an invisible fence company. And you would do that. You would have all the employees have to wear them. Like, I would do it to everybody. Everybody has to wear them. All the people, all the dogs, everybody on that thing, all the stockholders, everybody wears it.
I do like that.
Yes.
But also, this makes me think of like a Twilight Zone or Tales from the Crypt episode where when this guy passes away one day, his like hell is he just has this collar on.
Yeah.
And that's how he has to like spend his eternity. I know it's your friend, so let's pretend it's not. Let's pretend it's somebody else. Are you on board? You would use this for your own dog?
I don't know. Like, it depends the amount of if it's a shock, like where you're going to the extreme thinking to yourself, oh, this is going to cause all kinds of neurological damage and all that stuff. I don't think that's what it does. I think it just it gives you a mental. It makes you a mental. There's a little bit of pain there, but it's a mental association of like, don't run off the property and get hit by a car. It's like you want that. You want the dog not to run into the street and get hit by a car because that's more painful than a necklace that's a little aggressive. Shannon?
They don't know that, though.
But they don't know it, but they're making the association. And it's like, this. I'm not even getting to my point. My point is the dogs that overcome, that just run through it and overcome it, they're amazing to me. They should be allowed to be free. And I think they should roam the earth. And once they do that, I think that no one should be able to put a collar on them or anything again because they've overcome the blocks in their mind and they were willing to overcome the pain. I love that. I actually love that. That's a success story in my book.
You should ask your friend if he knows of any stories of the dog that beat it.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. The dogs that actually beat an invisible fence. Yeah. And what Natalie was talking about was that elephant. There's a whole story of an elephant that's tied up and is trying to get away. But eventually, after over the years, they realize they can't. And so then the owner takes away that rope and just puts a string. And the elephant never even tries.
Because then it just lives in depression for the rest of its life and is sad and just stays next to the tree.
Yeah, because it's been mentally worn down. But it's an analogy because it's like we're all the elephant. We're all the elephant. And it's like you have the mental power to do it, but you've been mentally broken by life or whatever. I understand it. But it's like you have this story is that you have the power to do it.
I agree with the story behind it.
Right. Well, tonight when I'm eating lobster, no. Shannon.
Just not octopus, right?
Lobsters can feel.
Yeah, they can.
Can they feel?
I believe so.
Should they be on juries?
Wait.
An entire lobster jury?
with electric necklaces on.
Lobster jury. Boil the entire jury. Is that what you would say? They're sequestered in butter? Trying to make this show as entertaining as possible for you guys, okay? And we spent an exorbitant amount of time disagreeing about invisible fences and inflation and John Hinckley Jr. And do dogs have unconditional love, Shannon? What would you say?
I say yes.
But what about the thing where it's like you throw the ball, they bring it back to you, but they won't let you take the ball out of their mouth?
Because that's how they want to play. They want that tension.
Or maybe they're just being stubborn about it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, they want the ball in their. They want you to try to take it, but then they're playing mind games with you. I don't love that about dogs. Okay, it's like you brought it back and you want me to have it, but you don't want me to have it. It's like what is the end game here? We just.
I don't know.
It's like flirting. It's like flirting, I would say. Finally, human trafficking at airports. Now there's huge announcements being made at airports for be on the lookout for human trafficking. And I was in the airport in Austin, and they made the announcement. So I went up to all the people who were waiting in line to go on the plane to Detroit, and I was like, "Are you guys being human trafficked?" And they go, "What are you talking about?" And I go, "You're going to Detroit on purpose? You want me to believe that?" You're obviously being human trafficked. No one goes to Detroit on purpose unless they're going to buy a home for $10, which is the price of a box of cereal here in New York. Inflation. Inflation hits everybody but Detroit. A house is still $10. Pretty unbelievable. Shout out to Detroit and the surrounding areas. And that's where Ferris State is, Cedar Rapids, which is Michigan.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
the same state.
Okay.
Cedar Rapids is where Floyd Mayweather is from. Just a little fact.
Got
a little
it.
fun fact, Shannon. Well, I don't know how much we've accomplished here on this podcast. We went hard. We went hard in the paint, which is a basketball expression. I'm should be in overseas at this time. At the time of this recording.
It's exciting.
It's very exciting. And Shannon, do you have a European trip planned now? Because you seem to follow me when I go to the islands.
I am working.
So I'm giving it to you a little bit back.
We do a girls' trip every year,
Yeah.
and while we were in Curacao, they were discussing wanting to go to Spain next.
Spain.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Maybe one of you can get a matador? Or are they too short?
No, it's also cruelty against animals.
Yeah, it's cruelty against animals, and they don't have the height thing.
Right.
But throw one face tattoo in there.
Maybe. Next
Maybe.
tattoo. Yeah.
Maybe there could be, maybe that idea has some legs. Shannon? Finish strong, I think, is the message here. Some light plugs, MikeVecchione.com for future dates, at Comic Mike V on all social media platforms. Special coming out. Be on the lookout for it. At Comic Mike V. New cards are made. They're fresh. They're in my home. And I'm going to be giving them out to anybody who will take my card. You want my card? Have my card. Let me give you my card. Any conversation, I'm going to start. Hey, how are you? Would you like to have my card? It's got all my contact information. Here's my card. And it's got that, what do you call it?
Code?
Yeah, the QR code. The QR code, and it activates to your phone so you can follow me on everything, guys, which you already should if you're listening to this. But there's going to be a lot more followers and listeners now because I'm going to give my card to everybody who breathes. And we're going to up our game, both Natalie, me, and Shannon. The Italians are here. The shirts are in. The cards are in. We're set up for success. And if we fail, it's because we all have dog collars around our necks. And it's because Lewis or somebody, Ralph, somebody in power, is keeping us from crossing the threshold to millions of followers. And they shouldn't be stabbing us in the throat. We're part of the Gas Digital Network. I don't know if they still know that we're on the platform. But we're back in the big studio, and this has been a great one. And we just needed some time to air some things out, Shannon. I felt the tension building between me, you, and sometimes Natalie when she would interject.
Yeah, we're good now.
Are we good?
I think so.
No invisible fences in our future to stop us from progressing? Do you want to do your plug, Shannon?
Oh, yeah. You can follow me on Instagram at ShannonLee6982. Listen to my podcast, The Thing Is. Ding, we talk about bad dates, fighting, and ghosts. Wherever you listen to Mike Vecchione Investigates, you can also watch it live for free every single Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern at gasdigitalnetwork.com/live. That's absolutely for free. But the best way to support the show is to go to gasdigitalnetwork.com, use promo code MVI. That'll give you a 1-week free trial. You get access to the live chat episodes sooner, HD streams, a whole bunch of good stuff, and every single episode of this show and every other show on the Gas Digital Network, all for free for 1 week. If you have been putting off joining Gas Digital Network for a while, now is the time to do it, because if you subscribe before September, you get locked in at the current rate and it will never go up. And in September, it's the prices are going to go up for everybody else. So now's the time to join. If you listen on iTunes or YouTube, make sure to rate, review, tell a friend, leave a comment. All that engagement helps out the show tremendously and just takes you a second. Go to podcastmerch.com for t-shirts, hoodies, and mugs. And if you have your own video investigation to submit, send it to MikeVecchioneInvestigates@gmail.com. That's it.
Please continue to support the show, guys. Exciting things coming. New special, cards, shirts, best comics in the city. Individual episodes like this one. Me, Shannon, Natalie, chopping it up, getting to know each other a little bit better, talking about these issues, getting to the bottom of things. I'm Mike Vecchione for Shannon, for Natalie. We'll see you guys next week.